Square of Mississippi's giant house party. A little music bumping us into this segment by the king. Yes. Mississippi's own Elvis Presley. We welcome now Ron Eller. He is a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, would represent Mississippi's 2nd Congressional District. Ron, good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the air today at SuperTalk.
So if you were to be fortunate to get elected, that would mean that Mississippi's 4 congressional districts would be represented by Republicans. Likely, of course, there's always a chance in the other 3 districts that a Democrat could prevail. Honestly, it's unlikely at this point. But it's that 2nd congressional district that's a little pesky. That's the seat currently held by Congressman Bennie Thompson. I believe he's been there since '93.
That's right? Correct. Yeah. 1993. So he's right at 32 years.
Gee whiz. So he's got to be among those who have been there with the longest tenure. I haven't checked it, but he's got to be near the top of the list.
He is near the top of the list. You know, by the way, I happen to be the chairman for term limits.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Psalms 109:8. May his days be few, may another take his position of leadership.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, I don't think Mr. Thompson thinks too much about the term limit idea. How's the campaign going, Ron?
Well, the campaign is actually gaining momentum. I see positive things happening. People are understanding that we need change in Mississippi. We don't need to be voting along party lines or color lines because we're all Americans. We're all Mississippians, and we have to do what's good for Mississippi and for America. And I'm an agent for change, and the 2nd Congressional District has been in need of change for decades now. When you look at the 2nd Congressional District, there are 30 counties. 16 of those are in the top 100 poorest counties in the nation, 5 in the top 10.
Wow.
Now, Governor Reeves just today talked about this on the stage, how 2/3 of Mississippians now live paycheck to paycheck. Well, I'm here to tell you, I bet you that number's a lot higher in the 2nd Congressional District, and we need to have a positive change in the 2nd Congressional District. Bennie is responsible for some of those problems, like the Yazoo Backwater Project, or Yazoo Pump Project as we passionately know it as. He had it shut down a couple years ago by going to the EPA, and right now it's moving forward again. In fact, there's been several meetings throughout the Delta. I've attended some of those where the EPA was there, Fish and Game, the Corps of Engineers, and Article 2 or Section 2 of the proposals seems to be the one that has the most favor amongst the population as well as the farmers throughout the district.
It seems like, Ron, we've become we're very polarized, I think, in the country. That's pretty clear. But so many voters, they just cast their ballot based on party affiliation without really understand the true distinctions between the candidates. My question is, as you're campaigning in the district, you're talking to a lot of people who have historically voted Democrat, who have cast their ballot for Congressman Thompson. Are you starting to see a bit of a chink in the armor, or are you starting to see some second guessing about this now?
Well, I would tell you, Bennie is seeing that. Bennie is out there actively politicking. He hasn't done this in decades. He's speaking at churches. In fact, he spoke at a church a mile from my house on Father's Day.
Wow.
He brought in Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation, and he's toured the Delta with him. So he's bringing in, we'll say, DC muscle and heavyweights. And I'm just a grassroots campaign with a few volunteers. I now have a campaign manager, and we're moving the right direction. And what sets me apart? I'm a patriot. I've spent 20 plus years active duty in the military. I went from the pay grades at E1 to E7. I was a warrant officer. I retired as a captain. I've been taking care of the people of Mississippi for 40 plus years. I work at St. Dominic's Hospital in cardiac and thoracic surgery. So I've been taking care of your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your brothers and sisters. I'm that guy that's there in the middle of the night answering that phone when they have heart surgery and lung surgery. And I think that separates me from other people that have run against Bennie. Bennie, there's a book that just came out today by an author named Trevor Loudon, and he has an entire chapter dedicated to Bennie. And in that book, he talks about his involvement with the Republic of New Africa. He talks about how he was on the executive committee for the Communist Party in 1982. And I ask you, how can a man be affiliated and a member of the Communist Party and be representing the people of the fine state of Mississippi? That's wrong. He shouldn't be in office. It's time for Bennie to go. It's time for us to send him back to Bolton. And with your help, Mississippi, we can make that happen. I need you to go to helpron.com or go to voteroneller.com. Get involved. Let's make it happen.
So, Ron, you indicated that the congressman is getting a little nervous that you're seeing him campaign, whereas in previous cycles you really hadn't seen that much activity. What are you hearing from the voters, though, Ron? Are you hearing voters say, yeah, he really hadn't done anything for our district and it's time to make a change?
I am actually hearing that among voters, and I actually have an initiative that I tried to get passed through the Mississippi State House last year that follows our state constitution about church and state and about the Bible in school. And I think those kind of things separate me from other people that have run, because though I'm not in office, never been in office, I've been doing things to help better the state and to help better the people of Mississippi. And I know the people out there are realizing this, and they're looking at things like that, and they say, gee, maybe it's time to give a new person a chance, because we haven't gotten anything done under Bennie.
Kamala Harris now replacing Joe Biden as the presumptive Democratic nominee. How's that affecting your race, do you think?
Well, it probably will have a minor effect. I believe that the reason they did that is because they looked and they saw that they were bleeding seats both in the Senate and the Congress with Joe Biden at the top of the ticket. And this is a way of decreasing that bleeding. I don't think they really believe that they will win the presidency, but they want to stop the bleeding within the House, because they realize if they lose a lot of seats in the House, it's going to take a long time to catch back up, and that the Republicans will be in charge. Well, that's what's needed for America. We need people that understand business and understand what's good for America and putting America first. America doesn't need to be put second. We don't need to be putting illegal migrants in ahead of our own people. We need to put Mississippians and America first.
Yeah. Do you feel like, Ron, you're getting adequate and sufficient support from the party within the state?
I would like to see a little more action. I actually spoke with Governor Reeves today at the state convention. You may recall he actually stood up there on the stage and pointed me out and said, hey, we need to get behind this guy. And I believe that you're going to see an official endorsement coming out of the governor's office soon, out of Andy Gibson's office. Andy and I are I'd like to say we're probably good friends now. We do a little Bible studying together. Okay. Shad White has been posting a lot of things, and we've been talking on the phone. So I see positive things happening within the state organization, and I believe they understand that we need change. I'm a guy that can work with people. I don't care what your party affiliation is. I don't care what your religious preference is. We are Americans. We are Mississippians, and we're going to do what's right for America and for Mississippi.
Yeah. So what sort of feedback, if any, do you get, Ron, when you're traveling throughout the district about President Trump? I mean, knowing that he is the Republican nominee and you're running as a Republican.
Well, I occasionally run into that person that says, how can you support a felon? And I kind of laugh and like, well, Jesus was a felon, and they executed him, and I follow him faithfully. So, but most people will tell you, gee, I know I was a lot better off when I went to the grocery store when Trump was president. I got a lot more bang for my buck. When I went to the gas station, it cost me $20 less to fill up my vehicle, and I see the change, and we know what we need to do. Our system needs to be based on free enterprise, limited government, individual liberties, national defense, and traditional values. Well, those are the founding principles of this country, and that's what we need to work towards. We need to maintain that, and we need to be moving forward, not backwards. And that's what the Democrats want to do. They're trying to divide us and keep us separated, because if you're divided, you're easier to control. And, the Bible talked about that in Luke and Matthew. A kingdom that is divided is a house that'll fall. And our founding fathers talked about this. Patrick Henry, in his last public address, said, united we stand, divided we fall. We all know those famous lines and things. Well, it's time that we reunite as a nation, just like we were at 9/11. We were united. Nobody cared about anything other than America. And that's what we need to have, that feeling. It's about America. It's about Mississippi. And we need to do what is good for we, the people.
It's a powerful message, Ron. Do you feel like that's resonating with the voters? Are you gaining some that again, historically would have voted for Congressman Thompson?
Yes, I am. In fact, I will tell you, just this month, I probably had more donations come in out of the state of California than out of the state of Mississippi.
Wow.
And it surprised me. I'm getting checks in the mail based on my social media presence. And, and I write each one of those folks a letter and stuff and thanking them. And several of them have called me back and said, I see what you're saying. I understand it. And, I'm going to be voting different here in California because of my interaction with you.
Wow, that's good news.
So I feel I'm having a national effect.
That's awesome. That's good news. Ron Eller, candidate for U.S. House of Representatives to represent Mississippi's 2nd Congressional District. He'll face Congressman Bennie Thompson in the general election this November. Ron, best of luck to you. Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Remember, go to helpron.com, voteroneller.com, and if you need to call me, it's 888-ELLER22, because in 22 I started the mission to take back America, and unlike Joe Biden, I know my number.
We're coming right back at the Neshoba County Fair, final segment of Middays. Stay with us.
Thank you.